good morning everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to study another very important topic, that is osteoradionecrosis. This topic is not just important from the Viva point of view but also from the written examination point of view. So coming to the term osteoradionecrosis, I have break the term in three individual terms here, that is osteoradio and necrosis. So if you see the meaning of osteo means bone, and the word radio here means radiation, and necrosis, as you know, it is something related to death. So I can say that the word osteoradionecrosis is nothing but it is osteoradionecrosis can be defined as radiation induced bone death, okay, or I can say that radiation fall on a bone and due to which the bone started to die. Now how is it possible? If we look at the whole process, then what actually happens is, for example, this is your blood vessel, okay, inside the bone, and these are the radiations which are falling because of any therapy the patient has undergone, and so the radiation have fallen on the blood vessels. Now what will happen is, the intima mater inside the blood vessels will start to proliferate towards the two ends of the blood vessel, and what will happen as the intima mater will start to proliferate toward the end of the blood vessels, here they will form a thrombus kind of structure on both the ends. Now you know what does thrombus do? Thrombus is basically related to blockage. It is going to block the flow of blood. So now what will happen when the blood flow is completely blocked? This area, with passage of time, this will start to get necrosed because no new blood is coming to this area, and of course the old blood, it will, or the old part, this is the old part of the bone will start to necrose, okay. So as I told you, this will result in non-vital bone. You know the difference between vital and non-vital. Any bone which is no more functional, or you say it is no more having blood supply or anything, then it becomes non-vital. So the bone has become non-vital. Also now the bone has become hypoxic, hypocellular and hypovascular. Remember here that there is two processes which are going simultaneously, that is the increase in the number of osteocytes and decrease or absence of osteoblast. You know what is osteoblast? They are the bone forming cells. Osteoblast, okay, they are the bone forming cells, whereas the osteocytes are the bone destructive cells. Now what is happening in osteoradionecrosis is that these destructive cells will increase, which will lead to weakening of the bone, at the same time will lead to destruction of the bone. And on the other side, the osteoblasts, which were responsible to form new bone, are decreasing and are getting absent, so no new bone is going to be formed. So what is happening simultaneously is, no new bone is formed and the remaining bone which was there is starting to get weakened day by day. Moving ahead, there is no line of demarcation, so the whole bone will be involved very soon. You know what is line of demarcation? It is basically the line which divides the vital and the non-vital bone. So if there is no line of demarcation which is present here, so what will happen that very soon this non-vital bone or this necrosis will start to spread towards the vital part of the bone, and soon the whole part or the whole bone will be involved. Also remember, the mandible is more affected than the maxilla. Now this is something you need to know, that mandible usually has got one blood supply, and if by any trauma or any means this blood supply is being altered, then there is no other vessel which is supplying the mandible. So obviously necrosis will very early or very the risk factor of mandible is very high in case of osteoradionecrosis, whereas the maxilla have got various branches which are going to supply blood to the maxilla. So even if one branch has got hampered, or if one branch has got altered, the other branches are still supplying blood to this particular part of the bone, that is maxilla, and so the maxilla cases are very less as compared to the mandible osteoradionecrosis cases. Moving ahead to the symptoms of osteoradionecrosis, you will see pain, there will be ulceration and fractures. Other than that, fistula formation will be seen. Now what is fistula formation? Basically it is a tube kind of structure which connects two parts of the bone. So you can see various fractures in the bone because the bone has become very weak. At the same time ulcers because it is a malignancy, and also pain will be there. Coming to the factors which lead to osteoradionecrosis. So irradiation of an area which has undergone surgery before healing has taken place. What does that mean? For example, this is a bone, okay, and any kind of in history, any kind of surgery has taken place here on this particular part of the bone. And after the surgery is been done, what has the doctor did is that the doctor has wrapped this place completely so that healing process can take place. Now, for example, the healing has not occurred and by any means this area gets exposed again, and where the surgery was done, and the healing is not taken place yet. Now, this can lead to osteoradionecrosis. So, if there is any unhealed portion and if that portion gets exposed to any kind of radiation, then this can lead to osteoradionecrosis. Poor oral hygiene, surgery in exposed area, used prosthesis following radiation therapy. For example, patient is wearing a prosthesis and undergoes any kind of radiation therapy. Any trauma, infection or physical or nutritional problems can be a reason of osteoradionecrosis. Moving ahead, how can a person prevent osteoradionecrosis? Remember, before radiation has taken place, extraction of periodontically compromised tooth is very important, especially a one which has been in direct radiation beam. Also, during the therapy, mouth rinse with 0.2% chlorhexidine can be done. Post-operative care is that you should avoid the use of denture. Also, salivary substitutes should be used. How is the management done? Conservative approach is always kept. Remember, we always keep a conservative approach. We do not want to harm or remove the unwanted areas. So, conservative approach should be there to maintain the integrity of the inferior border of the mandible, keeping the site free from any kind of infection and patient free from any kind of pain. This is the most important thing as a dentist, as a doctor, you should keep in your mind, that your patient should not have any pain. Other than that, there should be no infection and the inferior border of the mandible should be safe. This is what we have to keep in mind. What you can do for this? You can administer some antibiotics. You can go for some narcotic analgesics, hydration and nutrition methods. Also, ultrasound therapy can be used to, it is not a completely reversible process, but to manage this. It's not treatment, it's just to manage the problem. What you can do is, you can use a ultrasound therapy. If this video was useful to you, please like the video, share this video with your friends. Also subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.